What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only. It's Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, it's Monday. Dude, it's November.
Yeah, we've made it past Halloween. I was a little worried for you, but I'm glad to see you on this side of it.
Yeah, the spookies I was able to avoid for the most part. It's all good. I made it past.
I've decided, conversely, I think I'm going to start streaming again tonight.
There you go.
And I'm going to begin with Silver Chains. We're going to work our way into something more gruesome.
There you are. You can always join us while we're streaming too over at twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as the Inside the Game official over on YouTube. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, coming up on today's show, Ubisoft's earnings call sheds light on the whereabouts of Skull and Bones. Nintendo shuts down offices, and id Software is working on a long existing FPS. Any guesses, Scott?
I have one. I'm really
right?
hoping.
Yeah, I almost guarantee it. But let's get into the world of Ubisoft. Assassin's Creed Valhalla becomes Ubisoft's second biggest profit-generating game of all time. The game needed less than 12 months to get to the record books for Ubisoft. This comes from Eddie McCook over at GameSpot. Ubisoft released its earnings call report on Thursday, and among the key takeaways is that Assassin's Creed Valhalla has become a gigantic success for the company. Dude, we kind of saw this one coming, which is such a change in the world of Assassin's Creed. I think that's the biggest thing for us too, is how much that whole series and franchise has shifted its whole outlook on the direction of the game. But Ubisoft said Valhalla has already become the company's second largest profit generating game in its history. It achieved this in less than 12 months. Ubisoft did not say what its number one profit generating game is, however.
Yeah, I was curious there.
Me too, yeah. But yeah, they followed up and I've yet to hear back. Valhalla had higher daily average revenue per user, per DARPU, they called it, the DARPA. Figures in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Ubisoft added. Additionally, the Siege of Paris expansion had record engagement, the publisher stated. The publisher also touched on Far Cry 6, which released outside the latest reporting period that ended on September 30th. No hard sales numbers were divulged, but Ubisoft said early sales were in line with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Additionally, playtime per user was up 25% compared to Far Cry 5. It's a big difference between Far Cry 5 and Far Cry 6. Just the whole thing.
I need to get into that to see the differences, but I've been told the pacing and the storytelling is just quite different.
Yeah, they're two different characters, right? Well, it's funny. When we play games, Scott, we always focus on the protagonist. But in Far Cry, it's all about the antagonist. You want to know who the bad guy is and like what's their story and what's their backline of everything within the world of Far Cry. But Far Cry 6, Nate and I reviewed it. You can check it out over at insidethegame.ca. And let us know what you think of Far Cry 6, which is an exciting post-launch plan over the coming months. Far Cry 6 is set to be the strong performer this holiday, said Ubisoft. The report also included insights into Ubisoft's long-in-development pirate game, Skull and Bones. Dude, management said the fact that the game has been making headlines of late around its development issues highlights the challenges behind the creation of a new IP. Working on the game continues to progress well, and the Singapore team passed important new production milestones. Producing ambitious new IPs is hard, requires fortitude and long-term vision. This is a major industry franchise like Assassin's Creed and Tom Clancy's The Division have been created, Ubisoft said. Dude, so really we know nothing. That's just that it's still alive, really.
It is still on someone's desk right now. Yeah,
man.
But it's a good point to be made. They are really hard to start up a new series. It's hard enough to create a game in a series, but think about having to come up with a whole new batch of assets or just kind of put them together. It's a lot of work. I think we were teased this game a little too early.
Clearly we were teased this game really early, right? It's just Ubisoft released a trailer of the game back in 2017, maybe even.
Was it that long ago? Yeah,
back then, and maybe even further than that. But it came off of Black Flag and the pirate ship mechanic behind it all. And as the game progressed, they actually went back to the drawing board again because of the feedback I think Ubisoft heard from the fans is that they stated that you are the ship. Well, as exciting as that might seem to some, it's not very exciting for a lot of us, I think. And you really want that. Who's your pirate character, right? You don't want to be the ship. You want to be the...
Aren't you excited about Choo Choo Charles, where you play as an anthropomorphic train?
No, I'm not at all whatsoever. So they've revamped the whole game for what it sounds like. I really like to dip my toes into that one and see what the game is all about. Work on the game continues to progress. Yeah. So it's, you know what, they're lining themselves up to be a franchise. They want to be like Assassin's Creed. They want to be like Tom Clancy's Division 2 or Division in that series. And how can they make sure that it's there? Well, they get the foundation of the game done. If they get it done well after all these years and you're still able to keep that hype, when you start to give like start trickling back in. Here's the reveal trailer, the new reveal trailer, right? And can you bring in, dude? I wanted Black Flag 2. I really do want that game, and this is probably going to be as close as we're going to get to it. So I'm definitely curious to see where that goes. But they've also additionally reported includes some of Ubisoft's new push into the free-to-play market in a bigger way with games like The Division Heartland and Ghost Recon Frontline, which fans did not like whatsoever from that reveal trailer, which is unfortunate. The company wants its games to reach a wider audience, and making some free-to-play is means to do so. Well, we can see that, but it's absolutely struggled. Success may first imply failures to grow and learn as a group constantly builds new skills, technologies, and capabilities. While there is more work ahead, Ubisoft is confident these organic investments will ultimately pay off and significantly enhance the scale and value of its biggest franchises. Scott, how do you feel about Ubisoft moving into the world of free-to-play? We saw the backlash come out of Ghost Recon Frontline. That was an absolute disaster. It's like 1-5 with a thumbs down versus a thumbs up ratio in the world of YouTube.
Harsh.
Oh, man. Like the fans spoke hard there, didn't they?
They did, but you have to consider how many people are on mobile. It just can't be ignored anymore. So It makes sense that these large companies are gearing something towards them. It's not going to be for everybody, though. You know, that's something that we all have to remember from time to time is not every game made by Ubisoft, not every Tom Clancy is going to agree with you. And that's just how it is, really.
Absolutely. But these games, dude, aren't even geared towards mobile. They are geared towards the console and PC platforms, but in a free-to-play model like Fortnite.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's as long as they stay away from hard loot boxes, I will see that as improvement.
Yeah. Well, they gotta generate. Obviously, as a company, it's all about making money. It's about the business aspect of it, right? And if it'll generate money, that's what they're gonna work on, and that's what they're gonna gear towards. But how do you do that? Because you do get that backlash of these loot boxes, and nobody wants a loot box anymore. But we seem to be somewhat okay in the world of a battle pass, right? So
yeah,
you can hit me with another battle pass. Okay.
All they have to do is offer a Squid Game uniform. They'll make $1 million that day.
Yeah. Well, that's the hottest thing right now, isn't it?
Oh, it is by far.
Yeah.
It's like overtaken Among Us characters being everywhere. Now it's Squid Game. It's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. But what isn't everywhere anymore, apparently, is Nintendo's. Nintendo shutters California and Toronto offices. Employees are displaced following the closure of two of Nintendo's few North American locations. This comes from Ethan over at Kotaku. Nintendo closed its California office today, displacing roughly 100 employees, sources tell Kotaku.
I was nervous when you said dispatching.
Yeah. The Redwood City location was one of 3 main offices for Nintendo of America, which is headquartered in Redmond, Washington. Sources tell Kotaku that the closure included the resignation of the SVP of Sales and Marketing, Nick Chavez, who announced earlier on Friday via LinkedIn that he would be joining, you ready for this, Kentucky Fried Chicken to help them continue the growth of the Yum brands. Dude, that is going from one aspect, I think, right into a different whole world of.
I do want to see a follow up to that KFC gaming console.
Yeah.
It has a warming drawer in it. You know, there's still room for innovation.
Man, it was just that was weird. The SVP position was previously held by Doug Bowser, who was promoted to president of North America after Reggie Fils-Aimé stepped down in 2019. Nintendo of America headquarters is in Redmond, Washington, and Vancouver, BC, where we are moving more of our employees and operations into these headquarters, and we'll be closing small satellite offices in Toronto and Redmond City over time. Dude, that's too bad. It's not often you see Nintendo shut down anything.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is kind of a sign of greater troubles, but that would be kind of a long shot to say. I don't think Nintendo is going to run into financial issue for another couple decades, but
yeah,
to shut a Toronto office down and say, well, we're still in Vancouver, I don't know if that really covers the issue there.
Yeah, definitely curious.
How many people are going to move across the continent?
Yeah, like what was the issue that they were closing? Why? Obviously, with COVID, a lot of us now work from home. But dude, they let go 100 people. Like it wasn't just them relocating, right? Oh, we don't need
Yeah.
that office studio because everybody's working from home now. We see a lot of companies now transition from that work to home life, which honestly, if you can do it, that's fantastic. But sometimes you need that studio atmosphere. But in this case, for Nintendo, they're shutting down 2 headquarters, basically, small satellite locations that just. I'm wondering what happened there. But yeah, like you say, like Nintendo isn't hurting, dude. The Switch is selling still like hotcakes. You got the new OLED version of the Switch, and we're still waiting on the Switch Pro. But we'll see what happens to with that one.
Super Switch. Well, Metroid Dread has definitely spawned a whole new batch of Nintendo sales. So
Exactly.
it's a moment where I would have expected them to expand, but you make a good point with the current state of affairs.
Yeah.
It's discovered a lot of offices just aren't necessary.
Absolutely. I think like Twitter was one of the first to actually stay home permanently, shut down their studios. They don't need an office building anymore. Dude, when you pay for that amount of money to go into a building to house all these people and now they can just work remotely from home, I think some people can do it and some people can't. But overall, you see a few companies starting to transition to that move. But we'll see who else is transitioning. Scott, as Doom and Quake Studio is working on a long-running, iconic action FPS. This comes from Chris Chappell over at PC Games, and veteran studio id Software is hiring for its next game following Doom Eternal, and it's entirely possible it could be a new Quake game. The studio's next game is apparently going to be part of a long-running iconic FPS series, which suggests either Doom 6 or Quake 5. Scott, if you're a betting man, which one are you going for?
Oh, that's a tough one because Doom clearly sells and makes money. So that's kind of an inevitable sequel, I hope.
Yeah.
But Quake hasn't been around for a very long time. I'm thinking Xbox 360. There was Quake Wars after that, which was dead on arrival. I really want to see Quake come back in a big way, but I'm curious to see how it would return in the modern day. Is it going to be a corridor shooter horror game, kind of like old Doom, but old Quake rather? Or is it going to be a multiplayer arena? There's a couple things they could go with it.
There's definitely a few things, but when they talk about their iconic long-running series, dude, you gotta think Quake. They've been on this bandwagon for Doom. It's crushed it with Doom. If you talk to Nate, like the guy is just over the moon every time dude, you mentioned Doom, like he just a huge smile on his face, and he'll talk about how he beat that game 100% of it and crushed it on the toughest difficulty, which is just absolutely insane. So
yeah, that may have put him on a list for government watch somewhere, but he did it.
Yeah, ZeniMax has recently posted a job listing for a senior technical animator working at id Software, and the description confirms that it is to help with the development of a long-running iconic action FPS. Unless id Software is going back to Doom or working on something or someone else's franchise, it seems likely that it could be Quake. Dude, I would think it'd be Quake. It's been so long. 2005 was Quake 4.
Okay.
Right? So you figure 2005, that's long over a decade, man. Been dormant. So I think Quake would be long overdue to bring back. Doom, we just saw, like I said, we saw Doom, and then you got Doom Eternal, and people loved those games, dude. They hit so well. Numbers were there, the value was there in the game, and it brought Doom to the next gen. I think now you're getting in time for Quake to come to next gen as well, which will probably be, I would say, if they're looking for help, Scott, we'd be close to the end of the life cycle for the PlayStation 5 and the Series X and S.
Ooh, it very well could take that amount of time. They're just in the hiring phase now, so things are still on the concept boards, but it is interesting to see what they're going to pull out. I'm looking up Quake 4, and I realized, just to confirm, that is indeed the game I was thinking of.
Right.
And, was that such a heavy hitter. I played online. I played number 1 in the world. I believe his name was Detriment. Shout out. I can't wait to get back into something like that again. It just took me right over, just like New Doom did.
Sure, but dude, that was 2005. Like, that was so long ago. Still a long-running franchise. they can't be working on anything new because like Machine Games worked on Wolfenstein. It sounds like that's what they're working on again or something in that series. Avalanche is handling Rage. Its software really only has Doom and Quake. So you're kind of like, I don't think they're going to be on something new because they said long running. So that kind of gives you one or the other. And if you had to do a coin toss, dude, a coin toss leads me over to Quake because we just saw Doom not too long ago, and Doom Eternal it's still getting DLC. So like, there's, you know what I mean? Like they're still continuing that one. The
remaster of Quake, and that inspired some more popularity.
And that's why I wondered if that's what they did. Were they testing the waters, Scott? You think they're testing the waters because, okay, we're going to remaster Quake. We're going to bring back something you all grew up playing. And then they go, man, there's still a lot of love here for Quake. Maybe we should work on something new. And this is where it's going. I would guarantee you it is Quake.
Quake spans generations too. My father was playing Quake against my uncle way before I was even born. So.
That's fair, dude. So here's another one that keeps continuing as well. Is Tomb Raider is coming to the Switch in 2022 with isometric spin-offs. Guardian of Light and Temple of Osiris will be released on the Switch starting in 2022. This comes from Eddie McCuck over at GameSpot. Tomb Raider series will make its debut on Nintendo Switch in 2022. Crystal Dynamics has announced as part of its franchise's 25th anniversary celebration. Dude, I still can't believe there's not a new Tomb Raider game. Instead, they're doing spin-offs for next year?
Yeah, these games already exist too. I played Guardian of Light, I think I played on 360 back in the day.
Yep.
So they're just kind of porting them over from what I understand, but it's still gonna be around. Tomb Raider is never gonna die.
I don't think so either.
That new trilogy, it definitely hammered a place for me with the new trilogy. I loved, but I think Square Enix had a lot to do with that. It's unclear if that's still a partnership, but
yep. No, absolutely. Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light and Lara Croft, the Temple of Osiris will be released on Switch beginning in 2022. The games will be brought to the Switch by Feral Games in collaboration with Crystal Dynamics. So they also worked on the port for Alien Isolation. Dude, I'm curious then if Crystal is working on something else. Are they working on another Tomb Raider game? They're not handling the ports. They pass that off to a whole other studio. They are working on Marvel's Avengers. But I still feel like Marvel's Avengers isn't enough to keep them up and going. You know what I mean? I think they need more. And I think they need that Lara Croft. When was the franchise last done, Scott? When was the last Tomb Raider game?
Oh, I want to say it was 2016, maybe, for the end of the trilogy here.
That sounds right. I think that sounds about right. I'm on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
that's where you're going to. I'm trying to see if it can give us a listing here. Let me know if you find something. I'm just taking a quick look here. 2014 was the original. Yeah, so we saw the boot. It's been a while though since we've seen a Tomb Raider game, Scott. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, September 8, 2018. So
yeah, that's the latest one I see there.
Yeah, which, you know, over that franchise, over those 3 games of the reboot, really brought another fan base, and I think it introduced to a lot of people as well. So, well, you know, it's good to see them kind of keeping that in the backlog of what they're working on. But I'm hoping they bring it back again. Tomb Raider is a cool game, and I'm a huge fan of the franchise.
So. How much more Uncharted do you think we're getting? Something's got to scratch the itch. I make the joke. This isn't even a joke.
No, I think you make a good valid point though, Scott, because right now we've seen Naughty Dog transition over to The Last of Us, right? We're not getting another Tomb Raider game, dude, or another Uncharted. I said Dude Raider, as some of us.
Dude Raider.
It's a good point though. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna see that. We're getting Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy. Right, we're getting those remastered brought over to next gen PS5, but it's not a new game. It's not going to be another one from Naughty Dog. If anything, they're going to probably pass that off. And you heard rumblings that Ben Studio is working on Uncharted, right? So are they working on, and they're also working on a new game too. There is that, right? So there's that in the back of our minds of Ben Studios. Dude, what was their zombie game I'm going blank on? Days Gone. So that didn't take off well with the fan base, and then all of a sudden rumors fly that we're not getting Days Gone 2. Everybody gets upset with it, and they're like, no, it's not going to happen. You guys didn't buy it the first time around. We're not making another one.
That was the response. I remember that being a very sobering response. If you like the game, go and buy it.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense.
That's a good point.
It's very good, right? So, but not enough of us bought that game to justify them making another one. So then they saw a bunch of people leave the studio because they were basically forced to work on the remake. At least that's what the rumblings are. The remake of Uncharted. And they're like, I don't want to do that. I want to do something new. But then we've also heard that they're working on something new as well. So does Naughty Dog ever go back to the world of Uncharted? I don't know, because right now they're heavily invested into their multiplayer. But dude, you know, Neil Druckmann probably has very little to do with the multiplayer side. He's the storyteller, right? Like he's one of the people working on fleshing out the story. They say they have an idea of what 3 will look like, but they haven't started that either. So are they going back to Uncharted? Like maybe. I
want to see them shake up these studios, take these people that have had hands on Tomb Raider and Uncharted, and put them with the development team that's working on Horizon for the next Horizon game, because that's almost going to scratch the itch there in the absence of the other two.
Kind of. I think you're finding other ways to fill that void, right? I think that's what we're kind of coming down to, is how else can we maneuver our ways around an Uncharted that we don't have in existence. Instead, you get Horizon's new Forbidden West. I was going to say New Dawn, but we've got New Dawn
now.
Not out yet. No, yeah. So we're getting to those other places, I guess, to kind of scratch that itch, but we still don't have a true Tomb Raider, bringing it back to Tomb Raider and where it all kind of came from. But it's we'll see. Crystal Dynamics, I think, needs to make another Tomb Raider. I'm curious how well it will sell. I think the last trilogy sold well, but not fantastically well to say, yes, we nailed our targets here and we should definitely make another one. And I think that's why we've seen it dormant for so long. But Scott, we got one last topic for a minute and a half here, buddy. Let's get into this one, because Microsoft and Sega exploring strategic alliance for Azure next-gen game development. Whew, dude, this one comes from Samuel Torbett over at Windows Central. Microsoft and Sega announced a strategic alliance on Sunday. In a press release, Sega confirmed the partnership will allow both companies to start exploring game development using the Microsoft Azure cloud infrastructure. This partnership will also aid in the development of Sega's previously announced Super Game project, which is currently years away from launch. Dude, a new partnership. We always thought Microsoft would partner up with Nintendo, but apparently it's Sega. Sega!
Yeah, they found the one that turned first.
Yeah, but dude, that's going to be it for today. That's going to have to wrap up today's show. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. Let us know all your thoughts on today's show over at the official ITG. But don't forget, you can join us live over at Twitch, YouTube, and if you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. I'm Drew. That's Scott. We'll see everybody tomorrow inside the game.